Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Ryan and I'm an architectural intern working in Wisconsin. Today I just wanted to briefly go over my study habits and the type of environment that I like to create when studying. So with that, let's get started. Now, the most important thing for me when it comes to having an effective study session is peace and quiet. See, I'm the type of person that's easily distracted by even the smallest things. So I need almost complete silence when it comes to studying, which really limits where and when I can study. Oftentimes it's just the subtle voices that I can barely hear in the other room that really distract me because my brain is constantly trying to figure out what the conversation is about. And this is also a huge design consideration when it comes to architecture. We want to make sure that if there's two conversations going on in two rooms right next to each other, that wall in between them is designed accordingly so that the conversation stays in the room that it's being held in. So when and where do I study? Well, there's really three key times that I like to study. Usually at night, when it's quiet. Maybe over my lunch break at work, if I can find an empty conference room and it's quiet. And also on the weekends when nobody's around and it's quiet. I think you get the picture. It needs to be quiet. But it's not always going to be quiet. So what do I do when I find myself getting distracted? This may sound a little corny, but if I find myself getting distracted or maybe a little bit disinterested in the subject that I'm studying, I usually take a sip of water, then get down on the floor and do a few push-ups. I find that this small step of activity really clears the fog out of my mind and allows my brain to just get back into the subject and start absorbing it some more. So the next thing this is kind of funny because it's completely opposite at work, but at home I like to keep a pretty clean desk. Basically, the less things that I can see and the less clutter there is on my desk, the more I can focus solely on the material in front of me. This means clearing off any papers or cups or dishes or anything like that, so that the only thing left in front of me are the tools and materials that I'm using to study. So for me, this is going to be a pretty clean desk. I have all the tools and materials that I need for studying within arm's reach and nothing else that is going to be distracting to me. I find that with a clear desk in a quiet environment, these are really the biggest keys to success for me. So now that I have all the distractions out of the way, I can get to studying. But how do I actually study? How do I take notes and so forth? Now I'll probably make a separate video on this subject sometime in the future, but here are the basics. I like to use the Pomodoro Technique, which I'm sure you may have heard of before. If you haven't heard of it, basically I set a timer for 25 minutes, and in this 25 minutes I'm solely focused on the material in front of me. Once that 25 minutes is up, I set another timer for 5 minutes, and in that 5 minutes I can relax. I can get up from my chair, move around, use the bathroom, get a bite to eat, maybe fill up my water glass, and then once that 5 minutes is done, then I sit back down at the desk, set another timer for 25 minutes, and start it all over again. And I usually do this for a couple sessions of that. This also helps with not getting distracted as well, because you get that 5-minute break where you can go and do something else, get up at the very least, and kind of clear your mind from being so intense on studying. So that's the method, but how do I actually take notes? So I actually use a combination of typing my notes from the reading material that's in front of me, also taking screenshots or drawings from my iPad that I ultimately airdrop to my computer, and then all that gets compiled into an app called Notion. But like I said before, there's a lot to unpack just with the Pomodoro Technique and how I compile my notes into Notion. So I think that's going to be a separate video sometime in the future. So basically, that's it. I limit my distractions as much as possible. I use the Pomodoro Technique, and I use a combination of tools and materials to compile all my notes into an app called Notion. So I hope this video was helpful, and hopefully you took something away from it that you can kind of utilize in your next study session. If you guys have any tips or methods of your own that you'd like to share, please leave those in the comment section below. And until next time, thanks for watching.